Got 10 seconds remaining. Looks like it's going to be a draw. Looks like it's heading for a draw. Maguire down the line. Noah. Oh! Ryan Hall! Ryan Hall scores for Leeds and wins the league leading
Hi, folks, and welcome to the Lot Pod. Strap yourselves in. It's now time for another match review panel.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast, proudly sponsored by ACD&B, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands, so if anybody out there has a company or need a new brand refresh or a new logo or a whole brand new brand, just get in touch with ACD&B. And just on ACD&B, before I introduce everyone on the pod, I got a preview this week on Friday of the fanzine, and let me tell you, it's shit hot. It looks amazing. I can't tell you how good it looks. They sent me the front cover, and then they sent me like 4 or 5 articles that people listening to this, people on Twitter have kindly contributed and submitted, and it just looks amazing. So I can't thank ACD&B, designing it all for us. So it's unbelievable. So that's coming soon. So welcome to the match review panel for Leeds versus Warrington. With me, as always, is Statman Reese. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We nearly had a perfect weekend again. Oh, we have had a perfect weekend.
Well, we definitely have, because the perfect weekend, for anyone not aware of it, listening or watching, is a Rhinos win, obviously, a United win, and a Scum loss. So who does Scum play tomorrow?
Yes, yeah, play Liverpool.
As we record this.
On Sunday evening, yeah.
Scum, people have listened to this knowing that Scum have lost, so it was the perfect weekend.
So,
Forget about 8-0.
I heard that. I heard they didn't even play, and Klopp just played on his own on the pitch because all the Man United fans just would.
He felt so sorry for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, anyway, come off, lads, and they're still 1-2-1.
Yeah.
Who have we got on today, mate?
We have Sam, and we also have Andrew from LUFC Stats. So I shall bring them in now.
All right, guys.
Hey, gents.
Good evening.
How are you doing, Stats? We've had a busy week.
We've had a very busy week. It's been a very enjoyable week. Yeah. Yeston Harrison, had Jared O'Connor on. Leeds Rhinos obviously got home against Warrington despite an absolute atrocious performance of Marcus Griffiths, which we'll talk about later. Leeds United have battered Chelsea this afternoon, and I mean battered. And the Leeds United women have got to a winning start. And all in all, as you can see from this smile, it's been a hell of a week.
I think I've seen more of you, Andy, this week than I have my fiance.
Oh,
Yeah, I definitely have. I definitely have. Not of Reese's fiance, my wife.
Yeah.
Oh, right. God, they nearly got the cat in the bag then. Shit. And then, Sam, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Glad to be on.
Yeah, good. Nice to have you. As always, we like our newbies, and we've been working on trying to get you on for some time now, so you are very welcome.
Yeah, eventually made it.
Yeah, we got there. Sometimes it takes time, but we do get there. Positives, Reese. This another win for the Rhinos. What is it now? First time? Was it Andy? First time in 5 wins.
First 5 wins in a row since 2015.
Someone asked me through Reese on Friday night, and I was fast asleep, and I woke up Saturday morning, I did it, and then I checked the Rhinos Twitter feed about 6 hours later. The Rhinos were 5 in a row for the first time in 2015. Yeah, I could have told you that.
No, you did tell them, and that's why they've copied it and put it on.
I need to be on commission next, don't I?
You do?
But
Did you
not
think
only
it was
was
the
it
same? The 5 clubs, 4 of them are the same, and the only difference is it's KR instead of FC.
Instead of FC.
Yeah. Mad then,
same.
Well, it is mad, but it's also just written in the stars that the Lord Rowan is just on that same trajectory and taking us all the way to another grand final and World Cup challenge win.
I realised I put the wrong GIF on really because I put "I am inevitable," but I put it of what's his face from.
Thanos.
Oh my god, why can't I remember that? Thank you, Thanos. But he lost, so I put the wrong GIF on. Really, I shouldn't have really done that. But not only was it obviously first 5 wins in a row since 2015, but that's our 7th win in 8 games. It's Rowan's 9th win, so we are the informed side, probably along with Salford.
We are not worthy as well
at the moment.
Andrew?
Yes.
Another win. Rowan marching on in this one. Lots of positives to take, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a gritty performance, and I think from watching the behind-the-scenes stuff yesterday morning, I think sometimes you've got to win ugly, and I think that's what they probably did on Friday night. First half brilliant, took some really nice tries. Ash Hanley, Nancy Morgan gave her just after his A-level results. Reece Martin got over as well, and I can't remember who got the other one off the chain. I thought Martin,
Bentley, Gannon.
Gannon got his first for the season. So great. But first half positive. Second half we were probably a bit clunky with the ball going forward, but we've won a game. The only negative for this weekend is Salford winning at Catalan because it just bunches it up again, and the job's still not done yet. We've all got 3 games to go, but Salford play Castleford at the Jungle on, I think, Thursday night. I think it's our Thursday on Monday. I can't off the top of my head. There's so many twists and turns to happen at the moment, but from where we were when Rowan took over to where we are now is chalk and cheese, and the job he's doing is absolutely fantastic.
I think you're wrong, Andy. I think Salford winning is a positive because it means that we now have a shot out 4th, because I really don't fancy going over to France again.
Yeah,
this guy gets it. Yeah, he gets it.
Would it be the 5th time in 50 days if we get Catalan in the playoff? It's like, come on.
Yeah,
we might as well be French nationals by that point. So
the only thing I'd say with that is Catalan play Toulouse, don't they, this week? And I can't see them slipping up in that. Toulouse are gone, so
French derby.
Yeah, Catalans are probably worse at the moment than a lot of people realise. I watched them at Wakefield the other week, and I know they won that game, but honestly, they had to really grind it out.
Yeah,
what's that?
Yeah.
They're 2 from 7, aren't they? 2 wins from 7.
Yeah. They just seem so scratchy at the moment. Nothing's really sticking for them, and I think at the moment, if you turn up against Catalan, you've got a chance of getting a result no matter where it is. So. Yeah. Catalan's away might not actually be the worst thing, but then at the same time, if they just decide to click one day, they can just put 40, 50 on you, can't they? So.
And of course, the last time we played Catalan away in the playoffs was in 2012, and Ryan Bailey passed around 4 or 5 Catalan played for passing to Daniel Guaya, and Leeds won 27-20. So there's positives there. I think it might go to the wire, but it's another big one against Huddersfield Giants side on Wednesday night.
On Wednesday, I know. I'm trying to scratch through to. Sorry, Andrew, butting in. Yeah. Have I ever attended a Super League game on a Wednesday? Has there been a Rhinos game on? Have I just thrown that on you?
Actually, in 2018, we played back-to-back Wednesdays, ironically against Catalan at Headingley, which was to be one of Brian McDermott's last games in charge at Headingley, and then we beat a Franny Cummings Widnes side 34-0. On a Wednesday at Headingley. And back in 1997, we beat Halifax Blue Sox. I want to say 2018 on a Wednesday night on Halifax with that old purpley magenta kit, and Graham Horry kicked a penalty from the touchline to win the game. Yeah. So it's a very rare.
He told us all about that, didn't he?
He did. He certainly did. And I thought poor old Barry broke his leg in that game. But yeah, it's a very rare. I think the end of the season is bonkers. I think player welfare yet again goes out the window, and I've just read tonight that any bans that sendings off take place, the jury are meeting on Saturday afternoon to possibly ban you for the Monday games, which is ridiculous.
Which is nice of them, yeah.
Get them
all, ban them all, ban everyone.
So I don't think there'll be any from this week. To be honest with you, I don't think there's too much in the game.
I could say 2 bans, you know.
Yeah,
I think we'll get 2. I think it'll be.
You say James Bentley.
And Bentley as well.
No, it's not. It's not going to be Bentley.
I don't agree with it, but I just think they will ban him because it's.
Neither of them were high. And the second one, it was just a good tackle. It was the force of the tackle that made his head jolt. He hit him here both times.
There was one tackle he did where he picked him up and he just dropped him rather than you meant to take him to the ground. He did just drop him. And I think it was around that stage that he was making loads of tackles. He was having an effect on the game, but I think he got a little bit carried away with himself. And I don't know if that 5 minutes or so might have just cost him, but I hope it doesn't, obviously. But I get a feeling that they might come down on him just because of his reputation.
Did anyone watch the Parachute Regiment versus the Army Yorkshire Regiment?
No bits of it, yeah.
Did you see the tackle towards the end of the game where the guy literally just picked him up and went, oh!
Yeah.
Just dropped him.
It was,
God, Bentley had been banned for the rest of the season if he'd done that. It was kind of hilarious, to be honest.
It'd have been rightly so if he'd have been banned for the rest of the season as well. That was horrific, that.
It was. I do have a bone to pick with someone in this group here.
No.
It's not you, Stats, and it's not you, Sam. It's someone who at half-time tweeted,
I don't see nothing wrong with it.
The score will be 74 points to 6, I think it was something. And the next tweet 2 seconds after that was, we're going to win by 70 or 80. And the whole point that what happened in the second half was entirely your fault, Lonnie. Entirely your fault.
My DMs, my WhatsApp, my phone, I could just feel it vibrating in my pocket. I was watching the game, I just picked up and it's like, what have you done? Why did you say that? And I'm like, wow, why is everyone losing faith?
I think I was one of those people texting you.
Why is everybody losing faith? Do not lose faith in the man.
Half was horrendous.
So I saw that tweet at half time, and as soon as I read it, I locked my phone and just put it in the pocket. Not happening. Didn't say that.
That second half was absolutely brutal to watch. I mean, it was quite funny because I sit towards the west, in the south stand, but towards the west stand, and it was packed for the first half because the Rhinos were attacking that end. But then everyone else goes down, like obviously people move around to the other side because if it was attacking down there, that we didn't even get in their half. I remember being in that half probably twice, maybe for 5 minutes. That entire half,
absolutely pants, mate. Second half, but we're really bad.
One of the things I was wanting to talk about, and it was the people were getting frustrated at the south stand, and I kind of get it. And we talked about it, I think, after the Salford review, but we just seem to stand off in defence. It seems to be a tactic just to have this line.
Definitely.
And let them kind of do what they want. And to be honest, at some points, I thought it didn't help us because they were playing the ball quickly and we weren't getting back in time. And they were playing with speed and we were struggling. But when they, George Williams and what's his face, Matty Croft, whatever, were just going up and down, Matt Duffy, sorry, were just running sideways. I can see why it was there, but I don't know what you thought, but I didn't enjoy the second half at all. My heart rate went up to 147, which is a new high from the Salford game.
I was going to say, is that another stat that's highest
of
the
new
year?
High? Yeah, that's a new high. But yeah, what did you think of the standing off?
I think because expectations have been so much raised since Rowan's come in and the wins that we've had, I guess he's praying, and you take the Catalan win, which is absolutely amazing, the Wigan victory, obviously the Cass victory at Magic, the Salford win as well, and the win last week. And sometimes you're not always going to play to your full potential. And it's been a long season for these players. A lot of players have come back from injury and suspension. It's been a bit of a mismatch for the team. Obviously, likes of Aiden Caesar came back for the first time in a few weeks. And it is always going to be difficult to keep that momentum. Now, a Warrington side had nothing to lose in that second half, really. They know they're safe from relegation. They did that last week against Toulouse. And they nearly got it. Now, there's one incident I really am annoyed at. The Leeds get a quick take. Probably what I'm going to say here. Reece Martin plays the ball to Blake Austin. He's away. He catches the ball behind him, and Marcus Griffiths pulls him back. Now, if he doesn't pull him back, Leeds go and score and probably go and get 30, 36 points. And that's where the game could have tipped over. But I thought defensively, Leeds were magnificent on Friday night, and I think that will stand us in good stead for later on in the season.
Just jumping on that Andrew said there about the Reece Martin pass to Blake Austin. Sam, you ran a poll on this today with a video on Twitter. Have you got?
Yeah, well, I checked it.
Hand, or I'm not just throwing that on you.
I was just looking at it now, actually, so I can tell you what it is, Sam. You had 370 votes, and 55.7% are saying it was forward.
I'm with him. I think it was forward. I know it looks worse because Austin's overran it, but I think this is again, having a go at Blake Austin, but I already think he's overran an already forward pass, which says a little bit about the line that he's run there. But I think it was forward. From where I was stood, I stand 40-metre line closer to the Carnegie stand, so I didn't have a great view of it on the night. But even then, I thought it was forward. I didn't have a problem with ref pulling it up.
I were banging line,
Yeah.
and I thought it was fine. But
I was
the
furthest point, top of the south stand, and I have to disagree. It looked fine to me. It looked fine.
Well, it's obviously really close. And when I was looking at the video before, I tried breaking it down frame by frame to see where it leaves his hand and where Austin first makes contact with it. And it really is borderline, but I do still think it's forward. And I mean, obviously, if he lets it go, people are going to moan about it anyway, aren't they? Because it does look forward. But I just think he was probably right to go with it because of how forward it did look, even though he did have to reach backwards for it.
It's one of those, and it'll always be debated. I mean, I can imagine those that did lose faith would have been like, oh, God, we're going to get beat.
You must have
that's
been
a big moment.
yourself. You must have been 10 minutes to go.
Never.
You can, after the game, go all this
lost
tweets
your
going,
faith,
holy,
so-
everyone loses faith.
I thought we were on the same wavelength, Reese.
We are.
Thought me and you.
Yeah, we are. Like, I am all in. I'm fully delusional, but it doesn't mean I won't crap myself during a game. And I thought,
my friend, you don't need to crap your pants anymore.
That first try went over, and I said to my dad, "We'll put 40 of them today," because they were shocking in the first half.
Yeah, which had a really bad second half. Just on you mentioned there, Reese, about our line speed and sitting back, and I was talking to Laurie about this after the game, and I do think it's a unique tactic. It's almost as if Rowan is kind of saying, put the defense on the back burner, do as little as we can, because we'll do everything in attack. Which, I mean, against really rubbish clubs like Catalan, Castleford, Salford, Wyatt, Warrington, all those really crap sides, it'll work against them because we can kind of beat them easily. But I would be interested to see. I suppose we'll have to wait till grand final when we will win it. But I'd be interested to see that tactic of kind of sitting back on that defensive line speed, how it works against Saints, because Saints are the complete opposite, aren't they? They just flood forward. And do you think that's something? Well, I think. Well, I know for a fact we'll win it, but Andrew, do you think that line speed and kind of sitting back? You like that?
Getting carried away. Look, we've had an unbelievable run, and the job's still not done yet. And I think if we do touch wood get into the playoffs, I think we'll be a force because we're coming into form at the right time, and a lot of sides, aka Catalan, probably hit the buffers at the wrong time, but it'll get better. As I said, you can't hit the highs every single game. It's practically impossible. We ground out a victory at Hull KR last week, thanks to Morgan Gannon. I thought an excellent game again on Friday night. And I thought defensively, I have to be honest, even though it got back to 24-18, I was never that worried we're going to lose that game on Friday night. Even with 10 minutes to go, with what Rowan's done defensively to this team, every player knows the job. Look, I know Liam Tyndall went off injured. I know he was back in training on Saturday morning with a short turnaround. I was fully confident, and that's what the grit that Rowan's installed in this team now. Had that been a Richard Agar team, I'd have fully expected to lose that.
Yeah, doing better, yeah.
So, yeah, it is what it is, and I'm just pumped up now for the last 3 games of the season.
Sam, were you this confident?
No.
Yeah, good, because I wasn't.
I think we're quite similar. We could be, 30 points in front, and I'm thinking the worst. Like, they get one try, they're back in it. I mean, you're talking to someone here who 2015 grand final. The person who was sat next to me, they didn't know me, and the first thing they did after full time was ask me if I was all right because I was that bad. I must have been
still shaking.
Yeah, honestly, I was awful. So whenever it gets close, and I mean, our goal line defense has improved so much, and we did loads of good goal line defense in that game. But I just thought the amount of pressure that we're inviting on ourselves, we could do so much of it, but then just because of the weight of it, it could easily just go at any point because we gave them so many opportunities to do it. But it says a lot about the character in them now that they did manage to hold on and they ground it out, which, as you say, a couple of months ago they just wouldn't have done.
Have you seen how many carries George Williams had on Friday? 39.
Jeez.
I think it's the most by any player this season.
That's incredible.
I saw somebody put a graphic out. It's the most since at least 2017.
Is it? Yeah, because he was working his socks off. He was really.
I'm just going to disappear for 1 minute because my mother's ringing me.
Go for it.
Just give us
say hello. Say hello from us.
I will do.
But yeah, he made 39 carries and he was trying to make it work.
I thought he was pants.
He had a lot of responsibility, didn't he? Because the other half, he was new to the team,
wasn't it?
Yeah. He kept it basic. He scored actually, didn't he? But he kept the rest of what he did basic, and he just took no risks, and that left Williams with a lot to do. And even though he wasn't doing that much to actually break us down, my mate were talking at the game with me, and we were just saying, he might not be on top form at the moment, Williams, but he can do anything, can't he? If he really wants to, he can just do it. So there was that much quality in the Warrington side that if they do get it right at some point, it's easy enough for him to score points. So yeah, he had a lot on, and luckily he didn't quite manage to pull anything off.
Just in terms of our players, who do you think had a good game, Reese, for the Rhino?
I thought Blake Austin was a man possessed.
Yeah.
In the first half, I think he would probably rate the record for how many dummies thrown by one player because he wasn't really intent on passing much. I think he just wanted to do it all himself, and he was desperate to score that Warrington end, or even he was desperate to score. Yeah. But in the second half, he made some brilliant tackles. There was one where he forced a knock on his own on the sideline of the south stand. He had to put a right good rib shot into Dufty at one point as well. He really was.
He was in if he didn't get that.
So Blake was really throwing himself about, and I mean, tackles wise, how many did he do in the end? He made 26. Caesar made 27, surprisingly. But no, I thought Blake was probably one of the two people that could have been man of the match for me, or one of the three people that could have been man of the match for me.
Did you see him in the last 30 seconds as well? Where, when we had ball and we're just winding clock down, he's there giving it big into the crowd.
They're pumping the crowd up, wasn't it?
Well, it was after that Dufty tackle, I think, or I think after the next set that they didn't score, he was there gearing the crowd up and stuff. But the other two, I thought Bentley was brilliant again. When I saw him at loose, I thought, great, he's going to be in the middle. He'll make 60 tackles today, probably. But he made 51. And then the other one I was going to say was, in fact, there's another two. I thought Oledzki carried like a demon again. And the other person was Reece Martin, who was simply unplayable in that first half. For that first try, everything just seemed to have stopped. And then the next thing I realised, Miner's away. But Reece Martin made six tackle busts, I think. And I'm pretty sure they would have all been in the first half.
Smith said that in his press conference. He said in the first half he was just so good. Like, why were trying to stop him, and they just couldn't do it no matter what they tried. And then he said, I think Smith were quite honest about our attack in the second half, so he didn't have an opportunity to do it. But he really rated him in that first half. You could tell.
Yeah, someone was talking about in the press conference about the connection, how good it could have Caesar, Austin, Myler back on the pitch and stuff. And he was like, we had no attack at all in the second half. It was rubbish. We were really disjointed. He was quite honest.
It's probably the worst attack we've seen in quite a few months, really, isn't it? Not even if we haven't been good, we've looked like scoring points at least in that second half. As you said before, we're in there half twice, probably.
I just wish Caesar looked to his left. The whole crowd, it was going, look left.
Get left.
Didn't even look, he went the wrong way.
There was a point as well where we were on their 10, and I think it was 4th. And Caesar had clearly dropped in to knock a one-pointer over. But it must have been 5th because Jared went on his own, didn't he? I'm thinking, that could have been an extra point there for the win.
That was in the last couple of minutes, wasn't it? When we were camped on their line on the 78th minute. Knock a drop goal over and you win the match.
With how bad you've been playing,
Yeah.
Get another one
as well. I can't remember when about in the second half it was, but I think we were pretty much in between their post and Dwyer. He tried
a shocker, wasn't it?
Yeah, just pretty much a daisy cutter. I can't remember who he passed it to now. He just gave him no chance. And you're thinking, you got to nail them, haven't you?
I had a bit of a outrage at that pass, I have to admit, and I went because people in the crowd behind me were saying, "Oh, I'm ashamed we're not signing Brad Dwyer." I was like, "He's a great player.
This is why
the game," and I went, "But that's why we're not signing him because he can't pass." Yeah. That's such exactly a crucial moment.
I just turned around to my mate and said, "That's Brad Dwyer, isn't it?"
That's the thing. You don't when he, I've never known a player quite like him because when he scores a try like he did against KR, you expect it because he's great at that run, off a broken field. So you're like, that was a good try. Then he does something like Salmon Reese, and you go, he does do that. I've never known a player be so up and down, like in that he doesn't shock you whether he's really rubbish in what his pass or something, or does something really good. So I've never known a player be so up and down. Talking to players up and down, can we have the stats for the mullet man, Reese?
Yeah, I do. I thought he made more tackles than this, but let's see what the stats say anyway. So obviously we had the one try, which I was actually over the moon about, to be honest.
Yeah.
When Bentley broke through, I was screaming, "Give it to Zane! Give it to him!" So I well shoved for him when he got over. But yeah, he got his try first of the season. 20 tackles in total, and then he carried 14 times for 102 meters.
Really, 102?
Yeah, so that's the second game in a row he's made over 100. It's not eye-opening. It's kind of what you probably would expect.
It's just the basics from someone like him, really.
But
Do you agree?
He ran hard. He tackled hard.
Yeah.
He was in the right place for the try. It was a good performance.
It was, and I think that I think this is his third game in a row now that he's done something similar. And people, there's questions all over the mailbag, and people like texting me saying, "Oh, I bet you're not slagging him off on the podcast now, are you? I bet you don't think that's..." My feelings still stay the same, just because he's done 3 games where. What's Aledzki been doing this year? Numbers-wise, it's been
so Aledzki made
monster numbers compared to. I know Zane's been banned constantly, but I agree with Reese. I think this is just the basics for him.
But I'm happy to see him do the basics well.
I am. People say, I want him to be. I do genuinely think that it'd have to be a grand final win, which is happening, for me to kind of say, right, that's the reset button for me for him. I expect more.
If you compare him to Aledzki then, so Aledzki averages about 34.5 tackles a game, Zane 28.8. Aledzki will average 13.2 carries for 100 meters, Zane 10.9 for 80.5. They've got about a similar average gain, which is 7.6 and 7.4. Penalties wise, they give actually the same amount of penalties away. Actually, just looking at that. They've both given away 4 penalties each this year. They've both had a yellow, but obviously Zane's had his stupid red. So there's a difference in the tackle numbers and the carries, but I would say that Zane is catching up.
Well, he should be fresher than Aledzki, shouldn't he?
Because Aledzki's played every game this year.
Yeah.
So the other player that I wanted to mention was Gannon, because one, I know he's 18. But I didn't realise he was still in school 18. I thought he'd finished. So that tweet when he got his A-levels, which he also smashed, by the way.
Awesome.
So yeah, well done, Morgan. Not that I'm jealous that you're an amazing rugby player and you're incredibly intelligent.
And good looking.
His try, he just took I can't remember who he took for a walk, but he took someone for a walk for 10 metres, didn't he? It was very Ryan Hall-esque in the Challenge Cup final.
I was about to say that for you. Yeah, brilliant. I think... I say this all the time, but the fact that he just plays that, you just expect him to play even though he's 18. It's like it's a bit.
Things like that from after about 2 appearances from him though.
Yeah.
You saw him on team sheet and he was just like, all right, Morgan Gannon's playing.
Oh yeah, Gannon's playing. It wasn't like, I know I've said this before, but like if Max Simpson or Levi Edwards or Jack Sinfield play, everyone's like, oh, Sinfield's playing. Oh, I hope it goes well. Whereas with Gannon now, it's just Morgan's playing. Yeah, because he's awesome.
Robbie's correctly pointed out in the comments, it's Zane's second try of the season, by the way.
Scored against Warrington in the first
against
game.
Warrington in first home.
Oh, yeah. Well, done by another referee decision that day.
Let it go, Andy. Let it go. But yeah, no, Gannon. It's just I just don't have it in my head that he's 18 and that like still at school 18. It's just ridiculous. And he's not really played that much. Obviously, he's not. Last 2 games he's played, but in the games before that he hadn't played. He was on the bench for the previous 3, so he has been rotated in and out. But the sky's the limit for that kid.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If it weren't for the World Cup this time round, which I think he'll just miss out, I'm absolutely certain next time round he'll get international honours because he's been fantastic this season. And I think he's probably a shoo-in for Young Player of the Year as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite easily, I'd say.
Yeah, easily. Something that I was quite interested in, Reese, is that when was the last time Reese Martin missed a goal? How many has he got in a row now?
I will tell you. So I think it's in the region of 26. But
27 in a row.
His last miss was round 18. So since then,
he's 25.
He's 25, but that'd be wrong. But yeah, I've got his last miss down as round 18.
Unbelievable. I mean, that consistency.
2 of those are on the sideline, right on the south stand as well.
Yeah, that consistency, Sam. I kind of said on the pod before that we kind of take it for granted now with Reese. It's like boring in a way that he's just going to keep knocking it over. But I mean, I think he's been our player of the year. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. He's just been that first game of the season. He played that. His dad just died, and he put in this unbelievable performance. He went back to Australia for a week, and then since he's been back, his levels just haven't dropped, have they? Yeah, he might have missed a couple of games through bans, but you know he's a running threat. He'll hit good lines. He'll score tries, and as you just said, the goal kicking. You can't undervalue how important that is really, because you forget before Martin came, we'd had years of struggling for a kicker. We've gone through so many, and he came in, took over, and we've all none of us have thought about it since, have we? Because we just know we've got him and he's going to kick him.
He'll just keep knocking him over. Like Reece said, he don't matter if they're on south stand, it just keeps bending him in. And oh my God, 26, 27 in a row. Absolutely unbelievable. Definitely our player of the year. Just to kind of wrap this up for the Warrington review. Man of the match, Andrew?
That's a good one. It's not Marcus Griffiths, that's for sure. I'm not a fan of referees, as you can probably see. I'll probably go for Morgan Gannon. I thought excellent from start to finish. And for a kid of 18, as you've just touched on, Young Player of the Year without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, he'll be my man of the match on Friday night.
Reece?
Blake Austin. Man possessed. Especially in that second half, he made some really important tackles and was being a leader, which is really good to see. So yeah, Blake Austin for me.
Sam?
Yeah, Austin for me as well, which I'm glad about because he's still, well, not that my opinion counts so much, but he's still got to convince me. He's still got to convince me that he's going to be worth this extra year, and because I've not been that impressed by him this year, and I've mentioned it a few times that I'm not sure that he's quite delivering what we expected, and well, anywhere near that actually. So I think more performances like that, and then attack, as we said before, attacking in the first half, it looked a real threat. So more of that and more of the defence, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I think Austin. I think it could have been Martin if we had a bit more from him in second half. I think Austin played like a man possessed and put a real good shifting in defence as well. So I agree with Sam. More of that. That'd be nice to get more of that kind of Blake Austin and coming into the grand final run. It would be nice to see him pick up a bit more form. What was the score?
24-18.
We won 24-18 because people keep saying to me, you never say the score. We won 24-8. You can always tell if we win or lose anyway, just by our mannerisms and what we're saying. 24-18 for those people that like us to say the score. Where do you want to go now, Reese? Do you want to go club news? Do you want to go
I'll
Super League news?
Do a bit of club news quickly. In that we only had one other fixture, I believe, which was the reserves, and they lost 26-22 to Hull on Saturday. I don't think there's been any other fixtures since we last recorded. So no, of course, I think there was a couple of games that were postponed. So yeah, that's it from a club news perspective. So I suppose we could go to the Super League roundup. If you want to.
Super League, here we go.
So, where are we? Thursday night, Huddersfield got back to winning ways and they beat Cass 36-10, which effectively put Cass out of the playoffs into 7th. And rightly so. Wigan stuffed Toulouse 52-6, and with the Wakefield result on Friday night of them beating Hull 26-18, that pretty much means Toulouse are done for, unfortunately, unless something magical happens with the IMG. We obviously won 24-18, and then Saints beat Hull KR 38-12. And then on Saturday, a game that, again, wasn't televised, Salford beat Catalan 46-14. So the main changes in the table is that, well, what's quite funny, Warrington could finish second bottom now because they're on the same points as Wakefield. So I'm really,
that's very funny.
It's very funny. So this week's version of how does Darryl Power still have a job? Yes, they've won against Toulouse, but they actually could finish second from bottom on the current records, which I really, really hope happens. Obviously, Cass slipped down to 7th, level on points with Salford and 6th. We jump up to 5th, and you know what we can do from 5th. And
we will do.
I think Saints are 6 points ahead, so I mean they've pretty much won the League Leaders Shield now.
Who cares?
So yeah.
Who cares?
Only matters if you win the treble, and they didn't win the Challenge Cup, did they? So there you go.
No.
So yeah, that's it from Super League. Although I did want to bring one thing up that happened from the whole game. Did you see the footage of Adam Pearson?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I did see that. That kind of in rugby league terms blew up on Twitter. What did you see that, Sam? What did you make of that?
Well, it's not great for, I can't remember who the young lad was, but it's not great for his confidence, is it? I thought the funniest part of it was he's been caught on camera saying that while Hull KR, albeit they got battered at Saints, they've got a couple of youngsters making debuts, and I think one or two of them scored. And I think it just, Hull KR, they put a lot on youth, don't they? And I think a lot of young lads in Hull at the moment are choosing KR over FC, and that probably tells you a little bit of why.
Did you see this, Andrew? This clip of...
Yeah, I saw it, as you said, blew on Twitter, and it's not good for the confidence of the young kid who's making his debut in a Super League game, and he's worked his way up to make his debut. I know Hull have got a lot of injuries at the moment. That's probably why they will miss out on the 6th, and you don't need that as a young kid, and owners should be seen and not heard is the way I believe, and you want to see Gary Hamilton do that, or Paul Caddy do that with a young kid, and it's not good, and I'm hoping that Mr. Pearson has apologised to the young mother. Just two things I just wanted to pick up on. A result today in the Championship, I don't know if you've seen, Lee 104. Not good. Not good for the game, that is it. I know Lee battering everybody left, right, and centre, but it's not good for the game.
Some journalists put out after that saying that if you're a Super League team looking at that, you'll be a bit worried. But half their team are going to have to leave because there's not a cap, is there? And there's no overseas either. So.
No. That sounds like hyperbole. That sounds like Matt Shaw.
Was in me that.
Yeah. That sounds like Matt. That sounds very Matt Shaw-esque. That tweet. They've got to be worried about Lee. Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever in my rugby league career been worried. Yeah. In fact, the only thing I'm worried when it comes to Lee is that they actually get promoted. That's the worst thing. So I am worried about, God, are they back in league? Jesus Christ.
And I wouldn't mind if they came up and actually, did something different to what they had the time before. But
if they added something,
the last 3 times it's been the same story, hasn't it? They come up, they make all this noise, they go straight back down.
It's because these sides, I said as much about Toulouse, I think it was match review. They just signed the same players. So there's like these players that just yo-yo between, like Matty Russell and.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
No, there's loads.
Is he played for Toronto, Toulouse, and Lee? Probably, I think Matty Russell.
Yeah.
Just flitter between. I'm just like, even when I saw the Toulouse squad, I was like, oh god, they've done it as well. And you're really rooting for them to like do something different and invest in. Like, come on, get this right, because so many people, or some people, are against you. Get it right, and then they did the same thing. I just thought, oh god.
And the other score I wanted to pick up on was Bradford Bulls 4, Whitehaven 12.
Beat by Whitehaven, didn't they?
Look, I grew up in an era where the Leeds Bradford derby was one of the top games in Super League. The sort of the 2003 to 2005 era, it was absolutely unbelievable. Getting 21,000 at Headingley.
Amazing.
Now, I don't know what the crowd was today at Odsub. And I know there's a guy on Twitter called Andrew Foster who I follow quite a lot, and he's
very good.
He's a really good poster, and I was a big fan of Bradford Bulls. But look, it doesn't sadden me because they're being mismanaged, but they're just a long way off from getting anywhere near Super League.
If you look, when did they get relegated? 2014. They go down.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they had issues and things when they did go down, but I don't know how you three feel. But if you'd have asked me then when will Bradford be back, I probably would have said maximum like 3, maybe 4 years. I thought they're too big for the game. The game. I mean, Andrew,
very Leeds United-esque, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bradford went down to League One, didn't they? I know that they went up that year, but they lost the grand final. I say the grand final, the $1 million game.
£1 million game.
Yeah, £1 million game, should I say, to Wakefield at Bellevue in 2015. And they've just never been near since. And I love those derbies. There was a real edge of
I miss them,
games, and there were real battle royals. We spoke to Yestin on during the week on Wednesday about them. And I think they're a long way off, and if Lee keeps spending and will win Super League this year, and if Toulouse do end up going down, they'll probably do the same next season and what have you. But unless IMG do something over the off season, but I think it is probably too late for them to come in and say we'll clear relegation this year, and be interesting to see if the licence system does ever come back again. But yeah, it is what it is. And a special mention for Keighley Cougars today, who have won League One.
They're promoted. Well done.
Yeah, terrific. There was a wonderful tweet that I saw of the late great Danny Jones. He passed away in 2015. One of his teammates tweeted, "I will get this club promoted into the Championship," and what a fabulous achievement from Keighley Cougars, a heartland of rugby league as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well said, Andrew. Just on the IMG thing, Sam, do you think what can we expect from them in terms of the league structure? Do you think they'll stick with how it is, or licensing, or 14-team league? What do you think's best for us?
It's hard to say, innit, because we've tried a couple of different things and none of it seems to work. So I think after that result today with Lee and York, I think going 14 teams in the top flight professional would make sense, and then have the rest of them who, if they're semi-pro, it's more even, isn't it? But then how do they bridge that gap, I suppose?
Yeah.
What will be the point in that? But IMG, I am quite excited about what they can do. But from what I've heard about it, they still won't be calling the shots. I think Super League clubs still have that voting system where they they have to approve stuff. I might be wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen. Super League clubs can still approve stuff. So the self-interest in the sport, that's still going to be there, which will just make it more difficult for them. I think they're up against it to, make real change as well.
Well, that's the thing when you've got a group of old men, still it's like a working men's club committee, isn't it? You can't change their mind. Imagine being in 90s or something, saying in a working men's club committee, saying, right, we need this thing. It's called Sky Television. It's going to show you, sports. I'll just be like, oh no, we're not having bloody that. We're not paying for that. I can imagine IMG having similar, kind of being like, right, we're going to promote them. We're going to shut up shop. And we're going to do this, and this, and it's. But the issue is, you're not going to get that much. You're going to get this much. Like, oh, bloody hellfire! No, I don't think so. We're not doing that.
Super League out of interest at the moment. Because I know it was Robert Elston. I know he went. Who called the Ralph Rimmer.
Rimmer. Or was he RFL?
Was he
How's
RFL?
it-
Ken Davies. Ken Davies still in charge of
Oh, Ken Davey, because Elston went, didn't he?
Yeah. Didn't he
Boy.
come in on an interim basis as well?
That's right,
Seems to happen.
Ken Davey, yeah.
So you'd have thought from a Ken Davey perspective,
Jesus Christ.
Huddersfield.
Oh, sorry. I'm just thinking Ken Davey still in charge.
Huddersfield have had a magnificent season this year, and fair play to them. But they want to be getting more bums on seats, because for that game on Thursday night against Castle, they should be getting 8,000-9,000. They're having a magnificent season.
Huddersfield do try, though. It's not for the want of trying. They genuinely do.
Their ticket prices are really reasonable, aren't they?
Yeah, like it isn't for the want of trying. They generally do try. I just don't think there's an I just don't think there's an appetite for it.
You might be,
2013 was it when they won league leaders?
That's right. Yeah.
They seemed to be onto something there, didn't they? They seemed to get a few more in, but then, well, they got in playoffs, and that's the first time in 7 years. So they didn't capitalise on it, did they? All interest just went straight back down, and because of where the sport as a whole is now, I'm not sure they're going to recover that. Not anytime soon, anyway.
No, I agree. Just one other result that we forgot, Reece, in club news, the wheelchair. The wheelchair side won today, 60-22 away in London.
Ewan got a try, didn't he? Or a couple.
Ewan scored a try, and I think he kicked at least 6 goals.
Nice.
Well played, Ewan. The official first ever Leeds Rhinos player we had on this podcast.
Fantastic.
You'll always have that to your name, mate. We're gonna try to get Ewan back on when they, like in the build up to the World Cup, review the Rhinos wheelchair side season and then preview the World Cup. So like a 2-for-1. So stick around for that. Just on Darryl Powell, we've kind of touched on it every Super League roundup. We have 2 newbies. Andrew's been on the pod loads, but this is his first match review panel in that sense. So you two, we always ask, how is Darryl Powell still in a job? Andrew, how is Darryl Powell still in a job?
I think you've got to give him 6 games next season, at the very least next season, because they're making a lot of changes. And they wanted to bought a hell of a lot of players. They're kind of the Nottingham Forest Super League, aren't they? They're just reshaping the squad. They've had a disastrous season, let's be honest, this year.
It's been great.
Even though they beat us on the opening day of the season, they weren't great. They really weren't great.
We should have won that with 12 men.
Yeah, we should have done. We were actually on a late try that stopped us. And maybe Powell, will he regret taking that job there? He went so quickly from Castle to Warrington. I don't know. But I think the pressure will tell next year with all the signings they've made. And if they're nowhere near top 6, I don't know, by Easter time or by May time next year, I think his job will be under threat.
Sam, how is Darryl Powell still in the job?
It's hard to answer, isn't it? Because I think any club the size of Warrington who've had the season that they've had, normally that coach is gone. Halfway through the season.
I'd want him gone. Sorry, I've said before, but if this were Leeds, I'd want him gone, regardless of Richard. Andrew said there, they're looking ahead with the season. If it were Leeds, I don't know how you feel, Sam, I'd say this guy has to go.
Well, I suppose it's quite similar to Dave Ferner, isn't it? He was meant to be this guy coming in, changing everything.
That's a good point, yeah.
We gave him... Did he even get a couple of months before everyone just realised this, didn't it?
Yeah, 2 months. Got to Cup, didn't we? Week before the Cup, and then...
Yeah, so maybe 7
He didn't...
games.
Was he... No, he was. It was a guy in charge of that Bradford loss, wasn't it?
Yeah, when we lost at Bradford, that was my 21st birthday, so that completely ruined it.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, exactly. But, I think it's quite similar to that in that we realised it wasn't going the way we wanted it to go, and there were probably things about David Ferner that weren't quite right, behind the scenes that weren't talked about as much. That the stuff came out about how we treated Adam Cuthbertson and just telling him to retire rather than...
Unbelievable, that, yeah.
But Warrington, I think because they backed him so heavily, they brought all these players over and then they made such noise about him. I think they thought, we're going to look really stupid if we sack him here. So I think they protected themselves a little bit. And then
They won't sack him out of shame.
Yeah.
We can't sack him. Why? Because we'll look bad.
Well, I think that probably is it. But then they've given him a little bit more rope, haven't they, now, with more signings for next year. And I think, as you say, if the first 6 games, depending on how they go, I think that's more likely when he'll be gone.
Are you just on the signings that they've made for next year? I think they've got Vaughan, Maguire, Dudson, Cassiano. Is that it? Have I missed anyone? Obviously got Dufty. Reece, are you jealous of any of those signings? Are you envious of any of them?
No, because there's just not players that would fit our model that we're doing at the moment, are we? Like, Rowan wants a young, useful side that will progress, and no, don't care. To be honest,
Andrew, are you?
No. I think Warrington, as the old song goes, it's always their year, but it never will. But just one thing I did want to ask about signings that you guys may know. Darryl Alford, is he joining us next year?
He has been rumoured.
According to Matt Shaw, yes.
Yeah, he says it's done, doesn't he?
But,
there's been nothing confirmed yet. But it has been rumoured.
Because I assume Briscoe will leave at the end of this season.
I think that's been confirmed.
Yeah, Smith said he's not been offered a deal just before the Warrington game.
Tommy's gone, along with Dwyer, Bodine, someone else.
The staff.
Moise.
Briscoe.
Yeah, Such is going as well. So it'll be interesting times next season. But just going back to Warrington, they've got to get it right, because how many years has it been now without winning Super? Well, I'll not say Super.
20, I think 24.
No,
20. When did they get that cup? They got a Challenge Cup, didn't they?
20. They got a Challenge Cup in 2019, I think. They beat Saints, I think. Because did Catalan beat Saints? I can't remember.
No, 2018.
Catalan 2018, Wire 2019.
2019, so yeah, they've got a couple in here.
Their last league championship was 1955.
55.
Yeah.
Sam, are you jealous of any of those?
I'd have had Cassiano just because he's a wrecking ball, isn't he? Yeah. Everyone could do with a wrecking ball, but I wouldn't say I'm jealous. Although I don't think their signings are. I know they're older and Australian, and people say, when you're signing old Australians, you're doing something wrong. But I just think a couple of them might actually, just for a few years to get them back on track, I think they might be all right.
Might work.
Yeah, especially Maguire. I think he'll add a little bit of, I don't know what the word. It just kind of rough other teams up in the middle a bit, and then the other players like Williams, Clark, and Walker. I think them 3 playing off the back of them might actually be able to get something going. But again, it could go the other way and just be a typical old Aussie import.
Yeah, that Warrington love to sign. So we're all. Sam thinks Cassiano might be a bit of a decent signing, but the rest of us and the rest of the signings we all think are pretty rubbish. So I think we're all in agreement they should just sack Darryl Powell now.
Keep him there.
He's doing a great job. Keep him there.
That's true. Yeah, keep him. Darryl doing a great. Though I do think that Matt Dufty, I do think he will come good. I think speed.
He looked quite threatening on Friday, didn't he? He nearly got nearly leveled it up.
Yeah, and it's pretty much as you said with Williams, really, that he didn't. They just want enough in that side for him to be threatening enough. But I do think Matt Dufty would come good. And to be honest, he would be one. I know he's signed for this year, but I would, if he'd have signed for the Rhinos, I would have been impressed. I'd have been like, that's it's a solid signing. That
there's always one signing I'll always hate Warrington for, and ironically, it came against Leeds back in 2005 when Joey Jones made his debut. I think he played 2 games. He was I remember standing behind at the Hallowell Jones. It was unbelievable that night with Joey Jones. Probably the best individual performance I've wanted to see from an opposition player. And they've got the clout there, Warrington, but they've just stalled, haven't they, over the last 4 or 5 years? They've gone through different coaches. They went through, what's his name? Price was there. Steve Price. Tony Smith was there. Now Darryl Powell's there. And there's got to be a bit of continuity at the Hallowell Jones. And yeah, I think the pressure will certainly be on them. If they finish second bottom, that's disastrous for them. Listen, I know they've still got Salford to play. I think they've still got. I think they play Cast midweek. Then they've got Salford to play last because I can't remember who they've got in between there. Yeah, they've had an absolutely atrocious season.
It's been great.
Absolutely.
Andrew's just popped up in the comments to say it was Aaron Bauer who said the. What are we talking about?
Alfords.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I think it was the league being a threat to Super League.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Same thing with the League Live. It's same thing.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the podcast, before we move on to the mailbag, we have had an astronomical week on this podcast. Pretty much it's been the best week in the podcast small. We're just over a year old, 11th of August. And we've had, for those that are listening to this, wondering what I'm talking about, we've had Jared O'Connor on, and then we had Yestin Harris, and then we had Ryan Golding, back to back, 3 evenings, back to back, which doesn't sound like just like what you're moaning about. Which we're not moaning at all, but it did feel like a full-time job this week.
Yeah.
It was impressive in that, trying to squeeze it in and get all these guests in. So all those podcasts are available to listen to. As you hear this, the Ryan Golding one isn't. That's coming out on Wednesday. We're releasing this on the Monday. I'll have to listen to it live. It's coming on Wednesday. We've also got... Now, I can't decide, or I don't know, sorry. Is it Danica or is it Danica? Are we deciding? Do we know?
I feel like we should know this before she comes on. But we have invited her, and she has said she will come on.
I think it's Danica.
I think it's Danica.
She was on Channel 4 last week. Just see what they called her.
I'll rewind it back.
Because I don't want, to come on and like, Danica, or she's like, what?
Danica, yeah.
An inflection there. Danica Prim is coming on with us. We have got her booked in for the end of August, but we're just going to try and reshuffle it because some dates don't quite fit. So she's coming up, and we're also working on other guests. But the Ryan Golding interview will be released on Wednesday, and we've got Danica coming on, and we're also changing to a England/World Cup podcast where we'll have other guests from other clubs on because we're not tied to Leeds. So I'm going to try and get a journalist on if any of them like me, and a couple of other fans from other clubs, just so I've got more fresh voices because we're not just in the Rhinos market. Then we're into Super League, and it'd be nice to even get our friend over in New Zealand on, Reese.
Yes, we need to get him on actually.
New Zealand Fanatics. Go on, sorry.
I was just looking at the since we said the Warriors were our team, I think they've won 2 in 7 games. They got stuffed by Cowboys at the weekend, didn't they? So I'm not sure if that we did a good thing, but yes, we have connected with. Is it Fantasy Warriors? Is it on Twitter?
It's an YouTube New Zealand Warriors YouTuber / podcast. So New Zealand Warriors Fanatics. We've been speaking with him, so it'd be nice to, because what we're going to do next year is on the pod, instead of having a great big 2-hour long match review panel, which some people like and some people kind of listen in parts, we're going to slice it up. So we're going to do a match review podcast for 45 minutes or so. That'll be a pod on its own, and then club news, Super League news, again on its own, and then maybe because the mailbag's kind of growing into, which we're enjoying. It's growing and growing and growing, almost into its own podcast. So we're kind of right, well, let's just keep it, have more interaction with it in that, because at the moment it's just people asking us questions, but we want people to, or everybody to ask questions where we can say it on the pod or Twitter, and then people tell us their answers, and then we read them on here. So it's more engagement with us all, because it's not just us. So we are thinking about slicing that off as well. So there'll be 3 separate ones, and then on top of that, we're also going to launch a mini fantasy league pod as well. Just because rugby league, fantasy league, does anyone really do it? You do it at the start of the year, but then it kind of falls away. So I'm thinking if we launch that from next season, we can give out prizes and keep people engaged and have a mini pod that probably just me and Reese might record, just to be right, who's moving up and down in the league, and then kind of keep track of it, just to keep us some engagement. Then we can give away prizes for that as well. So in terms of the podcast, that's what we've got coming up. We've also got the fanzine launch. I'm not sure when that is yet, but it's looking good, and it's coming soon, pretty soon. On to the mailbag. Enough of me waffling on. Do you want to start with your mailbag first this time, Reece? Have you got it?
I'll go on the replies that you've got on Twitter. So John was very much on the lines of me and Sam, which was, will you ever tweet at the halftime of a match ever again?
Will I ever tweet?
Yeah. This is primarily you. In fact, it's all at you because it was your fault.
Oh, the score.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think I'll do that again because clearly
it'll make it all feel a lot better if you don't.
Yeah, just people texting me, like literally swearing, saying, "You effing twat," and me knowing the context of just like looking at a notification, going, right. I just put my phone down. I thought, oh my god, I can't believe people got really worked up. And then I like with my friend, who I think he were a bit shitting himself a bit more than I was. Well, I was like, oh really? And he was like, yeah, you're definitely getting blamed for this if it's. No, John. The answer is no. I won't be tweeting this because what for anyone listening or watching. What I tweeted on the Lot Pod account was something like, "Are we going to win by?"
Do you think we'll get 70 points or 80 points?
I'm just so confident, but I think in future I'll just say, "Don't worry, believe in Rowan. We're going to win."
Which leads on to John's next question, nicely actually, which is the Rowan Catholic community the fastest growing community in the world?
Yeah, just join us. Join us in Wednesday massacre of Huddersfield Giants. Everyone welcome. Just believe, everybody. Don't fear. Just believe.
Cool. Sam, not that Sam, a different Sam, is asking us all: do we have an amateur team you support or played for as a youngster? I'll let Sam answer this one. If you've got an amateur team you support or played for.
I don't support one, but I played for Milford Marlins when I was younger. But I'm talking.
Yeah, I know where that is. Sorry.
Yeah. Is it Milford?
It's Kirkstall, actually.
Yeah,
I played for them when I was 6, but I broke my arm at the 2005 Challenge Cup semi-final, so I stopped and never went back.
Wow. How did you break your arm? Playing?
No, I was in the crowd, and we were playing Toulouse, and they'd scored.
Yeah.
And they converted their try, and I wasn't looking, but I turned around, the ball was here, so it was either get hit in the face by the ball or put my hand up, hit my hand, and it just snapped my wrist.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was.
How old were you, sorry?
At that time, I'll have been 7.
I think he's younger than you, Reece.
What year are you born?
98.
Oh, yeah, younger than me.
Someone younger than Reece on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you broke your arm at the game?
Yeah.
So I'm just interested, so you broke your arm, do you just get outside, phone an ambulance, does someone take you up?
No, so I remind my mum of this quite a lot, because
you're in a lot of pain.
her reaction to it was just kind of get on with it, which is fair enough, because she wanted to watch the rugby, but she told me to go shake Ronnie's hand because that would make me feel better. Because I'm right-handed as well.
broken hand as well.
He's ragging my hand around, and then I went back to my seat, and I still wasn't right. She gave me some Haribos, I think, and then when I didn't eat them, she thought,
Sugar rush.
Something's going on here. But we carried on. But then I didn't eat my McDonald's for tea, and she went, all right, we're going to hospital now.
There's something really wrong with Sam. You've not ate your chicken nuggets.
Yeah. So, yeah, I never got back into rugby after that. I played at school, but, whoever the Toulouse kicker was that day ended my brief rugby career.
Just give Reece and Andrew 2 minutes. They'll tell you exactly
I'll go find
who
it.
that kicker was.
Hang on.
So, Andrew, then.
He's got it. There you go.
So, Andrew, do you have an amateur team you've supported?
I've never. I've just been Rhinos. I follow when the kids come through, and when the kids obviously make the debuts through like the scholarship at Leeds and the likes, obviously Morgan Gannon, Jack Walker, and what have you. But I need to probably get more into the that side of things, because it's really good for grassroots rugby league as well, and more players are going that way through to make the debuts in Super League.
Do you play rugby when you were a kid, Andrew?
I played rugby union at my school and I hated it. I absolutely hated it, every second of it. And by the way, the kicker that day, according to the Rugby League yearbook from 2015, was Damien Courtois.
Right.
There you go. We broke your arm.
Yeah, we can put a name to it now. I'll blame him.
Any amateur club?
What's that?
Go on, sorry.
Any amateur club?
Oh.
You support, Lloyd?
I grew up near Hunslet Warriors. They were literally over the road from us. I can't say I supported them or support them. I actually prefer the old boys in Hunslet. I live near Brighouse now, and I've not seen, for people listening, watching this now, but I've lived here for 2 years, and I've not seen any local rugby league club. Anyway, I think I've seen a union club somewhere. So I don't know what my local side would be over here. I haven't seen anything. And in terms of playing, no. Played with friends, played a little bit at school, but more of a footballer than rugby league.
Yeah, so I was a union lad. So
You're a union lad.
Yeah, so I played for Yarnbury at Horsforth, rugby union there, if anyone knows that. But no, again, don't really follow amateur really either. I suppose I probably should. I'll go watch my local team, but I haven't really watched it before. I was going to say Keighley because I've watched them a couple of times, but that's not fair because they're not amateur, are they? Okay, Laurie's asking, as a podcast that maintains strong beliefs and morals,
is that right? I sent this to the wrong pod, mate.
Have we changed our views on? Laurie's saying the man who can't be named, but I'm saying I'm going to tell her, have we changed our views on Tetivano? And I'm going to say they are changing, from my perspective. That's because, one, the tash is excellent. Two, there's a mullet coming. So if the mullet comes, the accelerator of changing opinion will grow massively.
Absolutely agree with that.
If we get more of the same towards the end of the season, then yeah, I think my permanent views will be changed. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the red card at Saints was ridiculous. It was so unneeded. Leeds were going to go and lose that game anyway. And the reputation went before him, unfortunately. There was no need for it. But saying I think he's learned, or he's learning. He's had 3 good games. Obviously, they don't all make it. 3 games don't swallow, don't make it summer. Let's see how he ends the season. I try. Let's see how he ends the season. I think he's in good form. It helps that the team are in good form as well. Yeah, it's changing, but it's not changed yet for me.
Sam?
Yeah, I'd say changing as well. I think more of what we've seen in the last 3 games and keeps his composure when he usually loses it. I think we can all say he's a decent player to have in the squad, but you can't trust him at this stage. 3 games is it's just not enough to properly change your opinion on someone. So I think the thing, we're stuck with him for another year because he's on big wages. He's not going to leave.
No, he's not going anywhere. No,
I don't think anybody's going to want him either. So I think Rowan Smith has performed miracles so far. So why can't he get more out of Tetivano? So we'll see what he can do with him.
Up to you now, Lloyd.
I just think the 3 games that you've all touched on, it's just the basics, I'm not saying he's played well. He has played well. He scored a try. No coincidence that grows a mullet and a tash and is all of a sudden is playing well. That is no coincidence. We are a mullet podcast. Me and Reece.
As you can see, currently worn by Lottie himself.
Yeah. People that are listening to this will be astounded by the when I've grown the past 2 weeks. But finishing this year as strong as he can, and by that, I'm not setting any standards. Finishing the year playing as he is now, making the meters and playing as he is now would be like the foundations for next year. So just do the basics of what he's doing now would be enough to be like, right, perhaps now, off the back of that, should he do it, Rowan can then build for next year and say, right, let's get hold of this guy and kind of, break his bones and restructure him. He can be remade. It'll be like a born again, from the Church of Rowan. He'll come out next year with this new Adonis. Someone like, wow, who's that? That beautiful mullet and thick beard was the last tit of Arnold. I'm like, what? There'll be like a reborn prop, the version that we thought we were getting.
Agreed. Laurie also asks, is there a name that really gets on your tits?
As in when you hear somebody's name, or
I'm assuming not an individual like Andy just probably named a referee. Probably, I don't know who it is names, but
if it's an individual, I'll go
if there's like a first name that you just even if the person's actually quite nice, to have a first name you just immediately means you just don't like them after that.
Gary.
Magdalene.
Gary.
Just because anyone called Gary just instantly reminds me of Rat Boy Gary Neville. Can't stand Gary Neville, so Gary. But then, sometimes, sorry, just to nip in a bit, has anyone ever said to you, I guess this is a question as well, so you say your name, or hi, I'm Eddie, or you'll be speaking to someone for maybe a couple of minutes in a bar or something at work, you don't say your name, and they kind of say, sorry, what's your name? And you go, oh, hi, I'm Eddie. And they say back to you, you don't look like an Eddie. What do I look like? Has anyone ever said that to anyone here?
I always said it doesn't come up often in the conversation. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you just don't suit Eddie. Maybe you suit Eric better. I don't know.
Don't you start.
But no, anyone got another name that gets on the tits? I can't really think of one, to be honest.
Magdalena.
Yeah.
I just think pretentious, isn't it?
Yeah. Too much.
Probably
sounds like a dessert.
Oh dear. And Larry's last question is: if he had to be on a reality Larry, yeah, Larry's. Laurie. What? I don't know what's in that. Was water? Would you believe? Laurie's last question is: if you had to be on a reality TV show, which would you pick?
Which one wins the most money?
That's a good question, actually.
Because I just think, if you're going to make, 9 out of 10 times, I suppose Big Brother, you didn't really make a twat of your cent, but the other ones, you are going to make a bit of a twat of your cent. So I think whichever one paid the most, because I think, right, if I win it, at least then I'm going to get a big payday.
I think for me, I'm going to show my age a little bit here, and it's funny you say Big Brother because that's what I've always wanted to do. However, now they're bringing Big Brother back in 20. It's not going to be the same. Everybody knows the format. I think Big Brother back in its heyday, in the early stages in 2000, 2004, 5 era, the likes of Nick Bateman, Nasty Nick, when he was going into the diary room and cheating and writing names on paper. People like Kate Lawler, Jade Goody, God bless her. There were just so many. There were so many stars made of Big Brother back in the early days, and it was a novelty watching 10 people in a house. And it's funny because back in 2001, I don't want to quite go on a tangent here, E4 took Big Brother on, and I had my GCSEs, and I remember sat watching E4 at my GCSEs. I was trying to revise on my GCSEs. I was just watching people like Bubble and Brian Dowling and all sorts of different people just sitting in a house doing nothing. It was quite entertaining, and you get with Big Brother. And I think I was a massive fan of it back in the day. Now it's gone, and I think everything reality TV wise isn't the best. The only probably one nowadays, and I can't dance to save my life, but strictly come down because I really enjoy that. Yeah. But yeah, there isn't too many out there.
Sam, is that giving you time to think of one?
Well, I wouldn't mind going on I'm a Celebrity, going in jungle.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you all right with bugs and eating random stuff then?
Well, I suppose I'd find out when I get there, but I reckon I'd have a go at the eating stuff. I can't. It'd be horrible, and I'd probably back out of it once it came to.
I ate a scorpion on Koh Sang Road in Bangkok, and I immediately threw it up everywhere.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Maybe I need to rethink this then. But I just think some of them must be all right. They're not that big, are they? It's just a bit of crunch.
Protein. That's what you got to think about. I think for me, mine be Race Across the World. I don't know if you saw it, but they had to get from one place to another for the price of the plane ticket.
No.
So they had to go from, I think the first series had to go from London to Singapore, and they couldn't fly, and they didn't have mobile phones or whatever, and they had to get from A to B for the price of what an airplane ticket would cost. By any means, there was that one. They did Mexico City with Ushuaia in season 2. But Eddie, any reality TV show you want to be on?
Oh, I'm just still laughing at you asking Sam if he's all right eating bugs. Like, I just had a bowl of wood lice for my tea.
Well, if you're going to, like, would you prepare for it? Like, if you were going and I'm a celebrity, would you go around your garden and go pick up like an ant or something and go, well, I'm going to have to get used to it. So,
probably got buy some crickets or something. Just have a go on then.
Yeah, get some worms from the fishing shop.
Yeah.
I probably do. I do think celebrities a bit of a challenge. Probably do. I'm a Celebrity. Do that. At least they do. They don't. I haven't watched it for years, but they don't just eat weird stuff. Do they? They do like jump out of planes to get there. And
speaking of that, how good was that parachute regiment on the?
I missed it, obviously.
The third one was at Terrace, though, wasn't it?
That last one, I text Laurie and said, "Has that just taken your head off?" Because he was bloody close to Western Terrace, wasn't he? That last one.
Yeah. People in Southdown like gasped.
I know.
Really?
I
would miss all this stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? Then they had the audacity just to land on his feet and slide and carry on like there's nothing happened. I was like, Christ.
Completely planned.
Yeah, it's like, but he were very close to the Western Terrace. That's all the ones on my mailbag. What's yours? Yeah.
Thank you very much. I've got a couple more here for us. The first one's from Rachel. And Rachel says, we recently bought our 81-year-old grandmother, Edna, an Alexa, so she could listen to her favourite radio stations. Her and my grandfather are big Leeds Rhinos fans, but living down on the southwest coast, they couldn't get to many games, but they enjoyed watching them from afar on TV. We have taught her to say, Alexa, play the Lot Pod, etc. And I'm pleased to say that you now have a new fan. She's listened for the past couple of weeks and really enjoys it. She's still very active and fit as a fiddle. It would make her day if you could please mention her on your next podcast. Thank you so much, Rachel. I just think that's
fantastic.
Absolutely unbelievable that we've got a listener, Edna.
Brilliant. Hello, Edna. Nice to have you on board.
Absolutely. Hi, Edna. I hope you're out and about and enjoying us. I don't know how your granddaughter found us. I don't know if she's a Rhinos fan or if someone's informed her. But it's brilliant to have you along. Thanks for listening, Edna. And sorry about swearing. I don't like swearing in front of my grandmother. So I do apologise. But thanks a lot, Edna. Keep listening. It's nice to have you here. The next one's from Leighton Rhino. And Leighton Rhino says, really enjoy the podcast as a Rhino, another one that lives down south. It's great to listen to regular Leeds chat, so keep up the good work. Thank you. This is on Brad Dwyer. Do we look to keep Brad Dwyer after his recent performances? Personally, I think we need more reliable ball delivery from 9. But I can see how his recent energy and form has been great. Sam, do you think there's a...
I can see where he's coming from with that, because as soon as they said that he wasn't getting a new deal, I think he scored 5 tries or something in about
played in the league shirt.
Yeah, so I can see where he's coming from, but I think as soon as Smith came in, he made it quite clear that Dwyer wasn't part of his plans and the way that he wanted to play. Did he leave him out for 2 of his first 3 games or something? And then
he did. He chose. Sorry, not to nip in.
So he played round 12 was Rowan's first game, I think, or round 13, round 12. He dropped him for round 16, 17. He's only started twice under Rowan, which is round 12 and round 23.
Yeah. 23 was out of necessity.
That was KR.
Yeah.
Obviously, which had probably his best game of the season.
I just think he's made it quite clear that that's not the way you want to play, not the way he wants to play. Dwyer, I think Richard Agar tried changing his style when he first joined, and he showed some signs of improvement, but he's always going to be that erratic, off the bench impact kind of player. And if Smith don't want one of them, then there's no point in keeping him, no matter what he's doing between now and the end of the season. His
form has looked good, and he does inject pace when he comes on, and he's very good at what he's good at, which is pace. If he can, when he does run from dummy half, quite often makes the meters and gets us moving forward. So he does inject life. But when you need that composure of the playmaking, he just can't deliver that, and that's what you need from a hooker.
It's what we said earlier, isn't it? We had a chance to hit a drop goal against Warrington, and that pass that he delivered was just so far from what was required.
And even if we were going to offer him a deal, it wouldn't be longer than a year. And for him coming towards what I think he's 29, 20, must be 29 now. He's not going to want a 1-year deal. But it doesn't sound like we'll put one on the table at all. But I think he's played for 4 or 5 years now. Been a great player. Won the Challenge Cup with him. I think it's best for all of us. We just go our separate ways, especially with Vic Cruz.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think obviously we've got Jared coming through. He's had a really good season. Got Corey Johnson, who probably might get some more opportunities next year as well. And of course, you've got Cruz Leeming, who knows, might be back on Wednesday night, if not possibly for the Catalan game on Bank of the Month. So I think we've got enough options there to cover looking on it. It sounds like he's going to sign for Hull by all intents and purposes. It would be a very interesting deal. But look, he's had 5 great years at the Rhinos, and he's worked very hard every time he's come on. I've nothing against Brad Dwyer, but as Reece said, I think we shake hands and we all go our separate ways.
Agreed. I agree. Next question is from Terry. Have you ever considered recording the podcast in a proper recording studio? Well, costs money, doesn't it? Money, time.
Unless A, C, D, and B have got a recording studio that we'll let us use as our sponsor. As you can probably tell, our production value is not that high in terms of costs. We'd love to.
We pay to do this, Terry. This costs me money.
Yeah, I just to turn it back on Terry, if he wants to send us a donation, so we're able to get a studio somewhere too for your
What's wrong with my shirt curtain?
Exactly.
What's wrong with me sat in my kitchen? What's up? Got a couple of rhino shirts. No, it's this. The recording this way, like we do, has made everything we've done this week possible.
Yes.
That makes sense. Doing it remotely. I know that we're over the knee of technology and internet and connections and things, and sometimes they drop, and we can't be helped. But doing it remotely, where we're all located, we know we can do it, jump on, and then. But who's to say? I don't know. Well, maybe one day we'll get something, but it's nothing in the pipeline at the moment, Terry. Emma says, I thought the Jared O'Connor podcast was brilliant. Well done, everyone. I thought he spoke really well. Did you? Yeah. I thought he were. I
liked all the replies from his family and friends going,
winding him up. Even Barry got in as well.
Yeah, they all get involved and going, I didn't realise he could talk so much.
Yeah, really enjoyed that as well. It's also good to see it from a player's insight as well, that stuff we wouldn't be aware of, and the difference that Rowan, he does his thing again, and Rowan has made on the team as well. So really good insight. Hopefully, come the end of the season, we'll try and get some more players on. Yeah,
hopefully, Emma. Jared is the first of many.
Yes.
But like I said to Jared on the pod, he needs to go on his Wikipedia entry now that he is the first male first team player for the Rhinos to come on to this podcast. But we are working on others, but we'll get there. This one's from Tommy. It's a bit interesting. Which current NRL star do you think could one day play in the Super League? By NRL star, I mean a full international or a state of origin type level player. I'll go first on this. I think to me, what Tommy's saying is it's going to be a big name, is what he's saying. Which of the big names does he, the £1 million players, does he think we could see coming over here? And I don't know why, but I think Lateral Mitchell, I could just see him in Super League, because for those who've never seen Latrell Mitchell. He's a great player, and he is an awesome player. But he looks like he's not fit. Like he's got he's a bit barrel-chested. And he's got a bit of not a gut, but he's not like solid. But then he's like really fast, and I could just see like Mitchell playing in Super League where he's a bit bigger as well, and he's still doing it. So I think Latrell Mitchell, yeah, that'd be my guess. Reese, any another superstar that you might think playing Super League one day?
I don't really see any current Australian internationals coming over anytime soon. I just don't think we've got the pull or the money.
No.
What about in future, like 5, 6, 7 years, coming towards back end of the career?
I don't know enough of the players to probably make a statement on that one.
Latrell Mitchell.
We'll go on. We're a team, aren't we? Yeah, Latrell Mitchell.
Sam?
Well, I hope I'm not exposing podcast secrets here, but you gave me heads up about this question earlier. So I had a look at the most recent... the last State of Origin series. I had a look at the squads for that, and I thought I'd get one from Queensland, one from New South Wales, and just one
he's done his own work.
I'm prepared.
Other guests. This is the standard.
So for Queensland, I went with Patrick Carrigan because he big forward. Yeah, he just seems like the kind of player who, when he's getting towards the end of his career, Warrington or Wigan all over it.
Coming for him, yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd suit a team like that. New South Wales, I went with Tariq Sims because I know he's just signed a 1-year deal at Melbourne. He might be 32 now, maybe. So by the time that's up, who knows if they'll want to keep him. And he was linked with Super League. Quite a lot, wasn't he, recently? And then the one that I hope comes over, because this is my favourite rugby league player in the NRL, and I love him at Leeds, is Cameron Murray. I just think he's great.
He's awesome, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm not sure he'd get it loose forward in front of Cameron Smith, but bench spots available.
No, he won't. You're right to say that. He would never get in front of our Cam, but yeah, he's an awesome player. Kind of like, I like it. He plays for the Rabbitohs, and I kind of like when Victor Radley's playing loose lock over there for the Roosters, and Murray's playing for the Rabbitohs, and that's Sydney Derby. Two great players going head to head. The next question's from Harvey. It's not a question. Lottie, I saw you at the game on Friday, and I didn't think you were that short. I don't think I am that short. I don't think I am. People clearly think I'm walking around like some little midget.
He recognised you. He recognised you because you were carrying a box. To stand on.
You can't miss this big ball, Ned. Tyler says, just a quick one to say, I found last week's podcast to be one of the funniest you have ever done. I think he must be in the match review panel.
Must be.
Thanks, Tyler. Tyler asks our music questions. So Tyler's music question this week is, what is your favourite song from the year 2000 to 2010? So pretty much that early 2000s. Reese?
There's a couple here for me that I really, really like. Dry Your Eyes, The Streets is obviously a classic, isn't it?
That's one of mine. Scribble.
I was struggling to choose between two, which was Beautiful Day, U2, back when I liked U2 before they ruined it with that stupid Songs of Innocence album they put on my iTunes account without asking me, which I've probably had a rant about probably for 4 times now, I think, on the podcast. Probably.
That's 5. We could do with some stats on that as well.
Yeah. So that's one, and the other one is Dakota by Stereophonics, one of my favourite bands.
Andrew, favourite song or songs from
you're here. I grew up in an era where Cheesy Pop was on sort of my playlist. Now, I'm going to say one here because it was kind of brought back into the public domain due to England's football's success at the Euros last year. And I think Whole Again, because of what Gareth Southgate did with England, and the remade I thought was brilliant. I'm not the biggest music fan.
Atomic Kitten?
Say again?
Atomic Kitten, Whole Again.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest music fan, so my girlfriend will just absolutely
I can tell.
Kill me.
Sam, save us. Save us.
Unfortunately, it's going to get him worse. Right. No one's ever understood this about me, but I don't listen
You'd
to
have been
music.
2 in the year 2000. So how would you even be able to answer this question?
Well, true, but I wouldn't be able to anyway because I don't listen to music. Honestly, I don't. I don't even have Spotify or anything. I don't have a playlist, so I just don't listen to it.
Excuse me, Sam. How are you listening to the Lot Pod?
YouTube. I have to walk. I listen to this podcast in the gym, and I have to walk around with my phone open at all times just to listen to it.
Yes, Spotify. Do yourself a favour.
I've got too many subscriptions.
Right. Less about Sam's OnlyFans on this this podcast. Mine is, I kind of whittled it down, but I think I've mentioned it before, but it's a song I love. It's Cornerstone by the Arctic Monkeys, and I think it came out in 2009. And I just love it. It's a song that's very rarely on the radio, or is it just because I don't listen to the radio? But when it is on, I just whack it up full blast. I just think perfect Arctic Monkeys song for me. That's definitely my favourite. So Tyler does our music questions. Everyone's getting this now, aren't they? Brian does our film questions. And the question from Brian this week is, what is your favourite sport film? But the rule is, you're not allowed to say Rocky. Has anybody got a favourite sport film ready for us?
Just want to check. Sam, have you been to the cinema before? Have you watched movies?
I'm all right with movies, yeah.
Okay, sounds. My favourite sport film of all time is Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Outstanding movie. Outstanding. Easy for me.
For me, I'm going to say Cool Runnings.
Oh my God, Andrew!
Yes.
You put me through it. Brilliant, yeah, John Candy, amazing.
Every Christmas when it comes on, I'm there watching it, and look, there's some great sports movies out there. There's some wonderful ones that are being made, like Fever Pitch, the Arsenal one in 1989 when Michael Thomas scored that goal to win Arsenal the title. It's up for grabs now, brilliant. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of Cool Runnings, and I think the whole story behind the Jamaican bobsleigh team and the Winter Olympics is absolutely fantastic.
Good film and a very funny film. Sam?
I like Longest Yard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I like Longest Yard.
Great Carly. Yeah, Adam Sandler. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good movie, that.
I love
it. So I should watch that again, actually, now I've said it.
You watch it again, probably.
On Netflix, I watched it the other day.
Probably bringing all these films to light to some people. If people aren't seeing these films, go watch them. Cool Runnings for me, that's definitely the best. I'm trying to think of some more to kind of...
Does Happy Gilmore count as a sport movie?
Golf film.
Yeah.
Goal's good.
Goal was good. The first goal was good.
Yeah. The other ones are a bit questionable. But...
Yeah.
One thing that I had in mind...
The Mike Bassett movie.
Sorry?
The Mike Bassett, the England manager.
Oh, that's funny. Very funny.
That's a brilliant film. That you have to watch that, Ricky Tomlinson. One that I had in mind was basketball. They do create a sport.
That was really good. That was really funny.
Not a real sport, but they create one.
That is really good. I like that.
What else was there? Dodgeball?
Dodgeball.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
That was a good film. But no, my favourite's definitely Cool Runnings. Absolutely love it. The next question is from Sean. He says, what's the process? There's been a couple of questions about the podcast this week. What's the process for putting a podcast together? What's the process for putting this together, Reese?
We just use StreamYard. We're learning as we go, aren't we? So we are learning as we go. We used to just take the recording of this, put it into what do you put it? Not Concur. That's my expense system at work. Anchor. Thank you. And then we used to put obviously our intros on at the beginning of it, but now we've put the intros in the beginning of this stream. So now we just literally upload this stream straight up into Anchor and do it. We don't do any editing. We just rack it straight on raw. So it is quite simple.
It's really simple, and then we just kind of speak all the time through the week about some things we want to talk about. If there's something that stands out, and like Sam said, we just questions from the mailbag. We give our guest heads up to ones that need a bit of thinking. Some others feel like they don't, but the ones that need a bit of thinking, we give guests a heads up so they're aware when they come on, and we just press go live and just wing it. Really, that's why it's so raw. But I kind of like that about it. That's a bit raw and knee jerk and emotional. Do you? I know Reese drinks. Do you drink alcohol, Andrew, Sam?
No. So like I did it with that sore throat. No, I don't. I'm not the biggest drink. I have one on occasionally. I will probably have one in October when Chris Lehman goes up to pick up that trophy. It's contagious now, isn't it?
Is it?
Not the biggest drink ever.
Have you previously? The reason because someone's asked me about being sober. Have you stopped or have you drank before? Or?
The one story I remember when Leeds beat Bradford at Old Trafford in 2004. Was it you? We went into Manchester for the night out. We all got a bit hammered. So yeah, just a choice there. I've never been a big drinker, not really for me. And if the occasion suits, I'll have a couple of drinks. But yeah, I like to moderately, if anything.
Well, this one's from Laura. Laura says, I'm very intrigued to hear that you have been sober for 3 years, Lottie. How did you stop and how difficult did you find it? I would like to cut down or stop completely myself, and I've just wondered if you have any tips. I just went, in terms of how I did it, I just went completely sober, didn't drink anything, just knocked on the head, and then after about 18 months, I started drinking non-alcoholic beers. That's just what I drink now. But in terms of tips, I don't know. I suppose it depends on what you drink and how often you drink. I was a classic binge drinker, so I didn't drink much at home at all, really. But then whenever I go to rugby or go out with friends, that would snowball into something more than we predicted, and then you're absolutely hammered and just a classic binge drinker. So for me, all I had to really knock on the head was the binge drinking that I'd do maybe once a month, something like that, and then maybe a couple of cans watching Leeds Rhinos or United at home. So I don't know what to say to you in terms of tips, but to cut down, one thing that I did notice is the money. That was a big. That was Andrew's agreeing now. That was a big plus, because you kind of look at your wage and kind of say, right, I'm going out getting hammered on 30th or whatever, so that'll be that amount of money. Well, if you think you're not doing that, it's like you've won that amount of money. You're like, wow. Yeah. You kind of step back and think, would I really just blow on that on? And that's a good time, and your social life will never recover, Laura. But the money, you have more money, so you kind of sit back and say, right, what can I do with this? And you kind of, I don't know, you pick up a hobby or upgrade your phone or your car, but yeah, it's, in terms of the money, I'd give it a try. My tip to you would be the non-alcoholic stuff now, whether you drink wine, gin, there's a lot out there, especially online. So try drinking that first and see how that takes you. If you do feel like a drink, try drinking something non-alcoholic and see if, because to me it's a bit of a placebo. When I go out with my friends and we're in a bar and I'm drinking something non-alcoholic but it's a beer, I don't feel like I'm missing out. And I also like the fact I can drive home. Yeah. Because to me, I don't know about you guys, but when I used to be drunk, like in town or somewhere, in the pub as the night's winding down, thinking ahead and thinking, Jesus Christ, I have to go and fight and get a taxi, just filled me with dread to be like, oh my God, just sat cold and waiting. So the ability to drive home as well also kind of kicked me into gear. Sorry, I whittled on loads there. Next question is from Kyle. What's the worst injury you've ever had? I think we know Sam's.
I'm not sure it's the worst one.
Really? You've had worse than that?
Yeah, well, I'm the kind of person who just picks up loads of little, nothing major, just little injuries all the time. Like at the moment, I've got bruised knee cartilage just from, I tried kicking a football and missed it, and my knee just hasn't worked for 6 months since. So I just get injured really easily. So
it sounds like sport's not for you, Sam.
Well, that's why I don't play it anymore.
Yeah.
I played football for 2 years, and my first game, I rolled my ankle, sprained it, but I played on it for 4 months and made it worse than a fracture. So I had to take 6 months out after that.
Someone I've sprained my ankle about 2 or 3 times, so I know the pain of that. I don't know how you've continued to even walk on that.
Yeah,
it's awful.
I think once you've started playing football and you're paying to play. There's money involved, so you don't want to waste your money.
That's a tight Yorkshireman. Andrew, what's the worst?
I think
injury?
the worst I've had, I was on holiday in Mallorca in Spain, and we're playing football, and they had these like wooden goal nets, and I saved a shot and I banged my head on the post, and I had concussion in Spain. And I had to lay in a hospital bed for like a week of my 2-week holiday, and it wasn't very enjoyable. So that, and I broke my metatarsal playing at goals on Kirkstall Road a couple of years ago. And I actually could have to wear a moon boot for 2 weeks. I couldn't actually move, and it was horrible. So, yeah, concussion on my head and a broken metatarsal, probably up there's the two main ones that I've had.
Reese?
2 ones I've had. One as a kid, I broke my tibia and my fibia playing rugby union. My leg was twisted behind my back, and I landed on it. So it was like a spiral break. So that was a nice one. If it was an adult, I wouldn't have been able to do sport ever again, apparently. So that was that one. But what most recently, most recent one that hurt a lot. I broke my ribs playing rugby. I was at a ruck in rugby, and someone came right into the side and just digged into my ribs here. I broke 3 ribs. And it's just painful because literally they go to hospital and go, great, congratulations, you broke your ribs. Take some paracetamol.
See ya.
Take some paracetamol, and that's it. But then obviously you'll roll over in the middle of the night onto that side and scream. So yeah, that was probably the most uncomfortable 2-3 months ever. Was that for me?
Tibia and fibia. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I did both when I was a kid. Yeah, I was 10 when I did that.
Oh. Macaulay asks, who is the best player in the Premier League? You a football man, Sam?
Yeah, I follow it. I used to be more into it than I am now, but I still know what's going on. I don't think you can look past Kevin De Bruyne in the Premier League, can you?
Wrong. Rodrigo. Brendan Aronson or Rodrigo or even Tyler Adams. Don't care. If it's not a Leeds player, then it's not right.
I'll say David De Gea. That's the worst player. Sorry. Look, I managed to catch the second half of Man City Newcastle, and De Bruyne was absolutely amazing.
I think De Bruyne is the answer to that question.
Yeah, he's just turned again. They were 3-1 down, and they probably should have won the game in the end. They finished 3-3, but yeah, Aronson started off like a house on fire. So Rodrigo, and yeah, but I'd probably just shade Kevin De Bruyne. And when we play them on Boxing Day in December, it'll be a top of the table clash between Man City and Leeds United at Ellen Road. He says.
I agree. I also agree. Kevin De Bruyne, definitely. Just seems to get better with age, like a fine wine. What was he now? 30, 31. You look back at him 3 years ago, he seems to be better now than he ever was. I think it's in Macaulay. I think in terms of United, even Rodrigo's surprised this year. Had an amazing start. Yeah. Absolutely amazing start.
3 first player since Arthur Graham scored 4 goals in his first 3 league games in 81, so that's incredible. Years, isn't it?
Just battered Chelsea today, 3-0.
Yep.
I agree with Reese. Aronson looks an awesome signing too, doesn't he?
He reminds me a bit of Lee Bowyer, does Aronson?
Yeah,
He's box to box, but with 3 games, and I don't want to turn this to a podcast, but with 3 games in, and it's a great start, but it's a start, and that's all it is at the moment. It's a start. We're all very happy. Let's see where we are come sort of the 16th game and going into the World Cup.
Yeah, we'll see. Paul asks, and this is the last question, why are you called the Lot Pod? How does it relate to Leeds Rhinos? Well, it's Lot 17A. That's the Twitter account. And that Lot 17A, if you don't know, Paul, or anyone listening to this, was the lot that became the lot of land that became Headingley Stadium that was bought in 1888. That's where I got that from, Lot 17A. And then when I was thinking of names for the podcast, I was thinking, I don't know, Rhinos Review or something basic like that. And I've always liked names that, like Lot 17A. You know, people think they might Google that to say why is it called Lot 17A, and then they'll figure it out. So I've always liked names that are not like on the nose, has people guessing. And I'm like that when people wear T-shirts, you know, or something like about a film or a band. You know, if they've got something, it'll say The Goonies. you're like, yeah, it's the Goonies. But if they've got something that says, hey, you guys, I'm like, certain people will know that that's the Goonies. So I just decided that I wanted to keep the lot from Lot 17A and then podcast. So that's why we're called the Lot Pod, Paul. I hope you enjoyed the explanation. We've obviously got Huddersfield next, gentlemen, just to finish up. Andrew, are you expecting Rowan to keep us marching on?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Huddersfield, fantastic result against Cass. They've also secured their playoff place, but home crowd, full house at Headingley Wednesday night, obviously strange time for a rugby league game. Expect Fussy Tour to come back in for Liam Tyndall. Possibly Leeming, I don't know, possibly Donaldson. So they could possibly have options there. We'll see what the MRP brings tomorrow. But what's interesting is he's going to have to name his squad, isn't he, tomorrow? It's 2 days before the game. And he'll name his squad at 12, and that could all change by 6 o'clock.
By 6 o'clock.
When the MRP meets. But I think if we win that game, we can go into the Catalan game with a little less pressure on us, because that's when Cass play Salford at the Jungle, and I think that game will be the key game at the end of the season. So, yeah, I think we can roll on and get a victory home to the Giants. I think a bit hit and miss away from home at times.
Yeah. Sam, how do you see it going? Think we'll win?
It depends on the team that Huddersfield name, I think, because after their win the other night, Ian Watson said on Sky that rotation will come into his mind for it. So I think if they just leave a few out just before playoffs come, I think we'll have a better chance. But I'm not ruling us out anyway. I just think even though we've been winning, I think the attack that we showed on Friday night might be a bit of an issue against them. And also they have the way they play and the way they attack. I think that's going to invite us to sit off again, and we'll all get frustrated, and they might just be able to pick us off a few times. But even if it's their full team on our full strength team, I think it'll be close, but I wouldn't like to go either way with it.
Looks like Eddie's gone, so I'm going to carry on then. So for me, I think you're back, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. Carry on, Reece.
I think that it'll be a good test. It'll be a good test of what the playoffs look like for us going forward. So I think will be a good test for us, but I think we'll just edge it. I think
we'll batter them.
I'm not listening to what Eddie's got to say after his tweet on Friday night.
Learned no lessons, have you?
I think we'll batter them. I do, genuinely. Leads by 24, I'm going to say. Opera Man's back. Robbie tells us in the comments. I didn't know that. He's back. Every time Opera Man
performed one of my favourite game of the Super League era, and Leeds battered Saints 70-0 in 2004, and that's possibly that's up there as that's when we knew that I thought we were going to win Super League that year. And it's funny, isn't it, that Rowan's come in, his uncle is Tony Smith, and they kind of play the same brand of rugby, aren't they? And it's so exciting to watch.
And both going to be grand final winners too. Got that kind of link in there as well.
Right, just reel him in a little bit.
Jerry Maguire, says Andrew, another sports film. Another one, yeah. Good one. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. Sam, the newbie, brilliant. Andrew, as always. Reece, as always. Thanks a lot, everybody. The next podcast will be the Huddersfield review when we win and review that one. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.